Thank you guys for tuning into another episode of It's All a Game podcast. Today, me and Nate got a pretty special one for you. We're going to be going through all 30 NBA teams and ranking them under four categories: contenders, pretenders, lottery, and poverty teams. So stay tuned. This one's going to be a great one.
So we're going to start off in the Western Conference and go down from number 1 seed to number 15. And obviously the first seed is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are clear contenders. They're the, I think, favorites, consensus favorites, I should say, with their real only threat being the Spurs, who have beaten them 3 times in a row now, which is ridiculous. And it's definitely a matchup situation. Thunder are talented. They have an incredible roster in terms of the depth. I always say that the MVP should have gone to Sam Presti instead of
Yeah.
Shea, because he's the real reason that the team was able to win so many games last year and is on a historic run this year as well. So definitely contenders, obviously the favorites. Not much more needed to be said, I guess, aside from their defensive rating is incredible. Their offensive rating is incredible. Overall, their plus 15 net rating, it's ridiculous. Much higher than the next one on the list.
Yeah. I got Spurs number 2 in the Western Conference. I'm going to put them in the contender category as well. Pretty much for pretty much for all the same reasons you just said about the Thunder, except for they're the team that just beat that team 3 times in the matter of a week and a half stretch. And honestly, before then, I don't know if maybe I would have put them in contender. I think they had a pretty good shot at it. But once they got Wemby back and then they kind of went on that run to beat like a contending type team, then it became like all too apparent that like they are some of the best. And I think without that stretch, they may have not gotten the respect they deserve, especially if they lost all 3 of those games to the Thunder. The Thunder are still going to be contenders if they lose those games. The Spurs, however, if they lose those 3, I mean, they're probably in the pretender category. So that was the one thing about it. And yeah, because of that, I got them in the contending category.
Yeah. Third in the Western Conference is the Houston Rockets, who from mid-December had a few losses that they really should not have. They lost to Sacramento. They lost to the Clippers by a lot.
Mm.
And most importantly, they lost to New Orleans. These are inexcusable, and I'm bordering on pretender just because they don't have a true point guard. I'm not, they're very young also, and I'm not sure how well they will fare in the playoffs. But for now, I'll stick to contender because they are a top 2 offensive rating team.
Really?
And they're also a top 10 defensive team. So at least that aspect of it shows that they should be contending, especially with the number of injuries going on in the Western Conference with the Nuggets. I know that's going to be big in terms of standings and where they're going to be seated. So right now, I'll put the Houston Rockets as contenders.
I respect that take. Yeah, I respect that take. And you mentioned the Nuggets. Moving on to number 4 in the Western Conference. With them having so many injuries, it's really tough because I don't want to put them in the pretender category solely based off injuries because that may not be the most fair. But I mean, if you're missing Jokic, you automatically drop from contender. Like everyone knows why Jokic has always been in MVP conversations. It's because the Nuggets would be garbage without him. So I'd say without a clear timetable on Jokic, and I know Christian Braun was out, and I know Cameron Johnson, despite him having like a so and so season so far, with all those kind of variables, I'm gonna have to put them in pretenders, at least for the time being, as of January 3rd, 2026. Now, you asked me this 3 weeks ago, I probably would have had a much different take. But I think just with the injuries they've kind of sustained, it may not be all too realistic to put them in contender at the moment.
All right. Well, I think it's really ironic that just due to the order of the standings right now, I'm about to talk about your Los Angeles Lakers and you're about to talk about my Minnesota Timberwolves next.
Wow, yeah.
Which is pretty great. So I get to talk some bad stuff about your guys.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Lakers are absolutely pretenders.
Yeah.
However, it's fixable. And so why I say they're pretenders, because obviously they're a good team. They have LeBron, who's 41 years old. Happy birthday, GOAT. But the big problem is Luka Doncic's defense, right? It was specifically targeted last year in the playoffs against the Wolves,
Yeah,
and that was a real big issue. And you can't have that in a playoff setting at all. Defense is just so much more important. And they've added a real center now in DeAndre Ayton, but it's not like he's the guy who's going to get the job done for them at the five, especially against some of the bigs in the Western Conference,
yeah,
right? So I will say they're pretenders right now, but if they can find a way to turn Austin Reeves into a big or a forward who can really fill in the gaps where they're needing it, I think they can become contenders. And the reason I specifically say Austin Reeves is because he is a phenomenal player. First of all, it's not like we got to get rid of this guy because he's so bad and
yeah.
he's the reason that they're pretenders. It's instead because he's so good, but he's so good at doing the same things that Luka does. He's a great scorer. He's a great facilitator. He averaged a lot of rebounds at the beginning of the season with Luka and LeBron out. So he can do those things at a high level, but they already have that guy, you know?
Yeah.
So if they can turn him into, I mean, if I am the Lakers, I am doing everything in my power to get Jalen Johnson.
Wow.
That's my guy. That's the big forward kind of dude who I think can elevate them to contender status for sure. So right now, contenders potentially no, sorry, right now pretenders potentially contenders if they can make the right.
Honestly, I 100% agree with that. If it came down to me, I was gonna put them in pretender category as well. Moving on to Minnesota. They're a tough one because I really like Anthony Edwards, and I think whenever you have one of the top stars in the league, your team is bound to always be in conversations of borderline contending. But a lot of times they fall short when you don't have like a great team built around them. And I mean, all right, I'm looking at their team leaders in offense. You got Anthony Edwards with 29.1 points per game. Julius Randle with 5.8 assists per game. He's leading the team. I'm not going to look at, well, yeah, we'll look at rebounds per game, 11 from Rudy Gobert, steals per game, 1.4 from Anthony Edwards. Blocks per game, Rudy Gobert 1.6. The main thing that stands out for me there is Julius Randle is your leading assister. And I still think they have the same problem as the Houston Rockets in which they don't have a solid point guard. And I think it's hard when you had the Rockets got their point guard. They just don't have them right now. And Minnesota, it seemed like they didn't really take the chance to go get a point guard. They're like, we'll just run it back with Mike Conley, screw it. So they're just like an odd team front office wise to me. And then looking at some of their games from this past season, or this past like let's say like week or so, they got the Heat today. They lost to the Hawks by 24, odd loss to me. But Jalen Johnson's playing great. They beat the Bulls by 35, cool. Then they lose to the Nets by 16, and and then of course they have the Christmas thriller with the Nuggets, a team that would be contending. And then you beat the Knicks, the Bucks, and the Thunder, all three teams in a row. That to me, they're so it's becoming a little inconsistent. And I think when the big teams when you drop these kind of very winnable games, I think it shows a lot about you. Like the Spurs, for example, we just talked about them earlier. They had three big matchups in a row, and they won all three of them to lead them from being a team that was in the lottery last year to being a team that is like, man, they're contending now. So when you drop these very winnable games against these teams that are bottom of the pack or middle of the pack, to me, it puts you in that pretender category. And I'd probably say is something very similar, like you said, with the Lakers. Obviously, they kind of own the Lakers from this past playoff season, the series. But really, I mean, to me, they're 1 to 2 moves away, maybe even one if you could just solidify a genuine point guard to put on that team. I would put them right at the contender spot. But like you said, until I think there's a move or potentially two to be made to put them in a contender category, and I'd feel confident with them going up against bigger teams.
Next in the standings is the Phoenix Suns. So they're funky. They're a funky
Yeah.
team. And the reason I say they're funky is because they got rid of KD for what seems like a few role players is what they have now, right?
Mhm.
Dylan Brooks and Grayson Allen and whoever else. And it literally feels like Devin Booker and a bunch of role players before the season started. Now we're 30-ish games in, and Dylan Brooks is averaging over 20. Grayson Allen is averaging over 15. Jalen Green hasn't even been able to play more than 2 games.
Yeah.
And in those 2 games, at least in one of them, he played pretty well. He got injured, of course. Colin's been good at the PG as well, putting up 14, 4. I don't know. They're looking really good for the roster that they have. You know, they're definitely overperforming. I'd have to throw them into the pretenders category. I think they'll make the playoffs as far as things are looking in the West, which is still very impressive to do in the Western Conference. I expect them to be one of those teams that just gets kicked out in the first round by a top seed, and it's not really their fault. Like, there's
Yeah.
not much they can do. I'd be happy if they could surprise us with a series win in the playoffs. Obviously, having to get through the play-in first.
Yeah.
And but right now they're definitely pretenders. They're 20-14. It's not a bad record in the West. So I'm definitely throwing them in pretenders for right now. But shout out Devin Booker for not getting thrown back into the empty stats allegations
Yeah.
right after
Yeah.
they
Right.
lose their stars, because that was the first half of his career was just that.
Right. Glad to see that team still semi competing.
Yeah, they're definitely there, and I think the large list of role players working together is I think
Right.
very noble is
It,
my word for it.
they're definitely in a weird spot because right behind them you have Golden State. The Warriors are an interesting case. The 8 seed, 18-17 record. Obviously, I view them, especially in that play-in type setting, as honestly the best of the worst. So right after you get out of the 6 seed and you get into the play-in teams, Golden State Warriors, especially with the Suns looking okay, for what they have, they're definitely one of those teams that would bounce the Suns in the play-in, and then the Suns would have to go against a team probably like the Memphis Grizzlies, and then you probably have a cooler matchup with Ja Morant versus Dylan Brooks. But honestly, the Golden State Warriors, I mean, they're pretenders. They're pretenders as much as it gets. And I think after this, I think honestly, once you get into playing teams, it's borderline trying to figure out, are they pretenders or are they lottery? Because I mean, Golden State Warriors, they're one bad injury away from being just a lottery.
Yeah.
So right now, they are a biggest pretender as you can get. Yeah, honestly, I don't have any further take for them
Yeah.
until something drastically were to change.
Yeah, I mean, they're fighting age. They're very old as a team.
Yeah,
Jimmy Butler is getting up there. He's not the same guy. Steph Curry will always be that guy, but he's still getting up there,
yeah,
unfortunately. Going from the Warriors to the Grizzlies, though, there's the big drop off because we go from
yeah.
above 500 to below.
Mm,
So the Grizzlies are also incredibly funky. If I am the GM of the Memphis Grizzlies, I am moving on from John Morant. I am moving on from Jaren Jackson Jr., and I am looking at my young guys. I'm looking at Jalen Wells. I'm looking at Cedric Coward. I'm definitely going to lean into that, and I'm going to get as much draft capital and as much young, high potential guys as I can for them. And unfortunately, John Morant is kind of a buy low kind of guy right now. If you're
yeah.
another team, his efficiency has been terrible this season. One of the worst guys in the league as far as that goes. So I really, unless something changes, I really don't see this line between 8 and 9 getting any, I don't know, thinner
Mm,
or finer, I guess. Just because when I look after Golden State, I see a bunch of teams that I just don't expect to make the playoffs, with exception to one, but I'll get back to that later.
yeah.
So definitely lottery, but not bad enough to be, what was the fourth one?
Poverty.
Poverty. Yeah, they're definitely not a poverty franchise yet, but they
All
definitely
right.
could be if they play their cards right now.
But moving on, 10 spot, Portland Trailblazers. I mean, they're about as lottery as it gets. I mean, just being in the play, being in the pretty much gets you to a lot. It pretty much gets you max lottery. Was outside of the exception of maybe the Suns and Warriors to kind of be pretenders. But the Portland Trailblazers, I mean, it's just a very. They don't even get to try out the Dame experiment. So I'd say right now they're still a lottery team. with the potential to move to poverty, depending on if they decide to make any trades or anything like that to kind of just get draft capital for next year. But yeah, they seem to me they're opening up. But I think they have some potential with some of their young guys.
For sure.
Danny Avia, I mean, I really like, but I think it's going to take a little bit more than that when leading the team to hopefully be more than just playing.
Right. Okay. Next is the Clippers, who are a very interesting team. They are on a 6-game winning streak right now.
Yeah.
And Kawhi has been averaging nearly 29 points a game this season on really good efficiency as well, nearly 40 or 30, nearly 39% from three, which is basically 40. He's been efficient. James Harden he's been hardening, he's been doing his thing. The assist numbers are a little bit lower than I'd expect for him, but obviously he's getting older and the scoring has gone up. So he has had to, put the team on his back for a bit while
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard's been out. There's been a lot of disappointment with John Collins for the season. I expected him to be a lot better. In fact, I wanted my Wolves to trade for him in the offseason, but he has not been too great either. Zubac he's good. I'm a fan of his. Not a modern big, but
Yeah.
still very solid for what he does. And
Love
they've also been
Zubac.
dealing with injuries. As they said, they'll get back in shape once Derek Jones Jr. comes back. He's their real X factor for sure.
Mm.
I think someone from the Clippers said. But yeah, I think if Kawhi can stay healthy and Harden can stay consistent, I think we're looking at a team that can, when the season is said and done, be potentially the 7th seed. That's my hot take. I think if they can maintain, because I never thought they were really that terrible. Kawhi Leonard hasn't been playing too much.
Yeah.
And he's been, he's always like a little bit injured.
Yeah.
He's always got like a pinch of that. So once again, if he can maintain this for the rest of the season, and not necessarily at the level that he's playing right now, but
Yeah.
a Kawhi Leonard level, the Kawhi Leonard that we all fantasize about because we never really get to see him that much.
Yeah.
Don't be weird.
I'm not quite sure I'm fantasizing about it.
I mean,
But I do get the thought process though, because the Raptors fantasize Kawhi Leonard as what everyone else kind of hopes him to be each season, and he was that for them. For the Clippers, they had their
right.
fantasy of him, like you're gonna get him, he's gonna win you a chip. He's like the NBA's boogeyman.
It
But then
wasn't
you
a
get him,
fantasy
and
for
it's
them,
not that.
.
Say it again.
It wasn't a fantasy for them. Like, we know how good Kawhi Leonard can be, and he was really
Yeah.
good that one season, like unbelievably good that one season. And I even say people need to talk more about the 2017 season too, because they were the Spurs were great. He was, I think, top 3 in MVP or something. I think he might have been second, but he was ridiculous also.
Yeah.
And it was injuries derailed him once again. I mean, that was like the beginning of it, really.
First mismanaged his knee injury, and that was the real thing. He wouldn't. It was knee or ankle, and that they weren't. Same thing with what the Clippers were doing with him earlier on.
Well, it was originally the Pachulia injury. You remember?
Oh yeah.
Zaza. That's what really derailed him the very first, the initial point, and that's when he started getting really injury prone and having to manage it more.
Yeah.
So that's why I always say, I mean, I just saw not a great TikTok, but like a very reasonable TikTok about it recently that was basically saying he's a great what if. He's done a lot in his career. He's only with LeBron and Kareem as the only guys who have finals MVPs across multiple teams,
Yeah.
He's very accomplished, but he's still a huge what if because he could be a top 10 guy all time if he's just healthy. So I don't know. Maybe we see a resurgence of the Clippers through the rest of the season, and I would love that. Honestly, I would be very happy to see that.
Yeah. So
I
what
don't know.
category are you putting them in? Are they? Do you see them as a
I mean,
team that
I'm gonna put them above lottery. I'm gonna call them a pretender team.
I think I agree with that. I think that's a fair take, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's asking a lot of them, but I do agree with that.
Yeah.
And it's weird because the team, they're 12-21, and the Utah Jazz, the team that looks same record as them, and completely different
Right.
viewpoint of them because for them it's, I mean, they're lottery at best, and honestly, this is a team that I was hoping to lose honestly more games because I mean they have some great guys like Keontae George and Laurie Markkinen, but really they need to if they're gonna build around those guys, that's cool, but you have to kinda have lower you need to have a better pick than what they're aiming for right now. You got Laurie
Right.
Markkinen averaging 27.7 per game, Keontae George averaging 24.6, 6.8 assists as well. I mean, they have players who are having, like, great seasons, but ultimately,
Mhm.
honestly, I wish they were doing less so that they could have a better draft pick, move in a better direction, but they are, to me, as lottery as lottery.
So the Dallas Mavericks are another sticky situation.
Yeah.
They are riddled with injuries. Anthony Davis is a great player. Kyrie Irving is a great player, but they are not playing.
Yeah.
Cooper Flag has taken a big leap from where he started the season, which is great to see. I personally love when there are expectations set for a player or a team and those things are met,
Yeah.
It makes me feel good. I like that. So it's good to see Cooper Flag playing well. I think they got to mix it up too. I sent you a trade idea that you posted on our Instagram a little while ago where I was thinking, Texas could shuffle it all up. I think they could send out Kyrie. I think they could send out AD, and I think they can get some nice pieces back. I think they should be looking at the Spurs for point guards. And then as far as bigs go, they have bigs, you know. They have the pieces, and I think they could even draft a very good forward, even a bigger forward out of this highly anticipated draft class this coming year or this year. So I think look at Cooper Flag. He is your guy. Center everything around him. You were obviously not competing, and I don't think in the year of 2026 a team should have Kyrie and AD and not be competing. Like that doesn't make sense to me. They should not.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the case. Blow it up. Cooper Flag is your man. Eric Lively is another great man. And there are lots of young guys who are kind of redundant on teams that you could look to target. So definitely, I'll call them lottery just because they're so injured. But with the injuries, they are definitely poverty.
Yeah. Nice. I agree with that. If you don't mind me, I think Kings and Pelicans are. I think it's safe to assume that these are both poverty franchises,
Yeah,
at least for this season.
yeah.
Talent wise, they have some bright spots for sure.
Mhm.
But for Kings and Pelicans, I feel like that one is a story to be told maybe another day.
Yeah.
But they have a future.
Well,
Pelicans more than Kings, but
yeah, and they both have a lot of trade assets. The Kings have guys who nobody really wants. Nobody wants a mid-range shooter as who's like a higher volume mid-range shooter, I should say. That's not
yeah,
something that's going to elevate a team. Demontis Sabonis is also very limited in his shooting and his defense. So these are guys that aren't like highly sought after, but they're talented enough that they're on these bigger contracts
yeah,
that also nobody wants.
you're right.
So I don't know. They got to be like a third or fourth option on a team if they get added to one. I could see Sabonis maybe on the Warriors just
I could see
because
Sabonis getting
it's
moved, and I could see a team going after Keon Ellis.
it would literally have to be a situation where there's such a better option than what a team already has, like the Warriors. Again, they don't have a decent center right now
Lakers,
anyway, so they might as well. And then the Pelicans, they have so many assets.
so many. I
Like
would, I would move. Man, they not
Zion.
move just to move them, but like I mean, you got Trey Murphy, you got Herb Jones.
Well, I mean, a lot of those guys are in their mid-20s now, which I know isn't old, but it's like if we are looking at Derek Queen as our guy,
Yeah,
right? We gotta find people who are around his age, and they don't have a draft pick this year. They gave it to Atlanta for him. So
yeah,
they really got to figure it out. Otherwise, this season is literally a waste. They get
Yeah.
nothing in return for being a garbage team, you know?
Zion gets moved first. Like, you send Zion
For
and you
sure.
get, like, a plethora. Really, that's the piece you move. Everyone else can stay until Zion moves, but I think
Yeah,
that is what's holding them back. You find a team that would take Zion, and
yeah.
you
I
pretty
would
much
I would also look at, you know who you're forgetting about? Probably the
hold up.
most forgotten player in the NBA right now.
The most forgotten player in the
The
NBA?
most forgotten player, DeJounte Murray.
Yes, he is there.
He has been out for a good minute. He played 31 games last year, and he's also a good player. He was an all-star a few years ago.
Yeah,
He's a good defender, not a fantastic shooter, but also not horrible, right? And
yeah,
so that's another valuable piece. I wanted the Wolves to actually trade for him if he were healthy. But that's another guy where it's like they can get a lot back for packaging up a lot of these dudes. And like, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
yeah,
I have no faith in a lot of these front offices, just the way things are going right now. Like, how did we get here?
right.
You know?
But yeah, that's that caps the Western Conference portion. Very top of it. And I mean, for I'll say the East is definitely more conversational. We got the Detroit Pistons, and I got them in the contenders category. Obviously, we're 2 years removed from them having one of the worst seasons of all time. So it's one of the more impressive turnarounds that we've seen in not just NBA history, but like all of sports history.
Mhm.
And I say they're a genuine contender. I like everything about the Detroit Pistons. It's one of those things where I think if you come from nothing, it's very hard to cast a lot of judgment on the team, and it's very hard to feel too much pressure. Because I mean, now in a couple seasons, once they've had a couple of great seasons, then they'll turn into somebody with a little more expectations. But right now, everyone expects Detroit to be kind of like a joke, and it hasn't fully got out of everyone's mind of how bad they were 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
they're playing with like house money right now. And
Right.
this season, I think, is the one where it turns everybody head onto the Pistons. I know last playoff series was okay, but I think
And
this year they're a genuine contender. And yeah, I like everything about them. Yeah,
moving on, though, we have the Knicks, who I will say are contenders, and I will speak briefly on them because I think we all know how good their players are. But
yeah.
more specifically, I want to talk about Mike Brown.
Uh,
Mike Brown is giving opportunities to players like Tyler Kolek, right? Jordan Clarkson is getting minutes off the bench, lots of minutes. He's playing great. He's actually playing the bench pieces. I am not a Tom Thibodeau fan.
Yeah,
I am. I mean, he was our Wolves guy for a bit. I don't like how he overplays the starters. I'm not a fan of that strategy. I don't like it.
yeah,
I think it's fair. I think it's why Derrick Rose got his injury in 2011 or
mhm,
2012 or whatever, whenever it was. Sorry. And obviously, the Knicks have a great roster. They have one of the best starting lineups in the league, and they've got a handful of good bench players in Deuce McBride, Jordan Clarkson, Tyler Kolek, like I mentioned. Mitchell Robinson is a great center to just throw in there when Cat cannot do the job as the primary paint defender. So they're contenders for me, and they're contenders for me more than they were last season. And obviously, Jalen Brunson doing beautiful things as well. So
yeah.
I like what I'm seeing in New York. Contenders, definitely.
All right. And this one, I don't know if maybe I've been, you know, living under a rock, but Boston Celtics at 3 is so unique because they're really one of the teams where, again, like without Jason Tatum, you say like pretenders. You don't even really bat like an eye. But it's weird because if Tatum comes back, right, like midseason, which I don't know how likely that is. I know that they've said like it's been great things with his recovery process.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, and this again, it just sounds very ridiculous because I could say this about almost every team from 3 down, but they're pretenders, and that is like even without Tatum, it just that whole roster lacks what I think it takes to beat one of those two teams that we just mentioned.
Mm.
Without Tatum, they couldn't get by him. I don't think they could get by the Toronto Raptors without Tatum, and that's just because I think that eventually you'll run into those teams that just are more healthy, have more talent, and that could just overpower you if they choose to play all their starters for 30 minutes. Well, like I said, the Knicks haven't really gotten into their bag yet, but in the playoffs, that mindset may completely change. Where they go, you know what, we're actually going to give you like our starters for 36 minutes. Like, what are you going to do about it? in which I think in that case the Celtics could. I don't think that they could. I don't think that they could compete with that. But outstanding. The same thing we mentioned with same thing mentioned earlier in the Western Conference with the Phoenix Suns. They're outperforming what they should be. They really should be.
Yeah.
It really should be a tank year. They're outperforming where they should be at right now. But and I think they're really lucky to have a pretender title without Jason Tatum.
Yeah. I will say, I think there are 2 points to be made about the Celtics, which is everyone's always talked about how Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum play a pretty similar role.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, once again, we got rid of a redundancy. There's so many redundancies on teams in the NBA, you know?
Yeah.
So I think role wise, I mean, they're splitting the same workload, I guess. So that's nice, but I don't know. I've never loved the duo just because they're just so similar. So I don't know. But the second point is last season they shot over 53% of their shots were threes.
Yes, I remember that opening day with the Knicks.
This season it's around 47%. So that's minus 6% of their shots are threes. And they're now the third team in terms of 3-point attempt rate. So last season they lived and they died by the three. That was their big thing, right? This season, they're not even shooting that great from three. They are 10th in the league in 3-point percentage,
Yeah.
but if you look at their top players, no one's really shooting that well.
Yeah.
So I do think they are pretenders as well. I don't think they have the size. I don't think they have as much of the defense as they had before. Obviously, Jordan Walsh, I keep saying obviously. Jordan Walsh has been good. Derek White is Derek White. And
Yeah.
the Jalen and Jason are both good defenders. But I just think this kind of exposes really how much of a job Jaylen Brown does. And he has a finals MVP to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why I'm usually lower on Tatum. I think he's a great player, but just like how I feel about some other guys,
Yeah.
he kind of had a lot handed to him with the team that he got drafted to.
Yeah.
And you got to kind of credit the front office more than you can the player themselves.
When a guy can step in right behind you and do your job the exact same as you, people tend to look at you a little bit with.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. But next on the list is the Raptors, who were one of those teams before the season started. I said I really like their starting lineup. I like that. I like that 5-man rotation. However, Pirtle has been disappointing, so that kind of fell apart. Brandon Ingram has stepped up a bit, kind of showing what he should be doing. Scotty Barnes has also been a great player this season. Everyone's shooting pretty well from three in that lineup. Sandro, let me try to pronounce this. Mamu Kalashvili. I'm not going to try that again. He's been really good this season from three. Just a great rotation guy. Getting 20 minutes a game. I don't know. They're definitely pretenders in my eyes. I don't think they're going to do anything crazy. They're 20-15, which is like, let's see what the Suns were at that level, but these guys are the four seed in the East. So I don't really see too much coming out of that. And I don't really know what they could do to make it better because they have some good pieces. Quickly's been okay. RJ Barrett's been okay. Like they're doing their job. Grady Dick has been disappointing, however. He's only putting up 6 points a game in 15 minutes, shooting under 40% field goal efficiency. So I'd say maybe we got to look at our younger guys, our lesser guys who aren't getting as many minutes. Maybe we want to move on for them and look for some more valuable rotation pieces. Otherwise, I don't really see them growing. I think, honestly, Scotty Barnes just has to reach his highest potential, and that's the only way they're going to get it done in the future.
Yeah.
So, pretenders for sure.
Moving on to Philadelphia 76ers. That one, man, wow. That one is a bit of an interesting one as well. Because you have them. This is the first look at really a full season without Joel Embiid outside of injury as your your option, your first option. Because for a lot of years, I thought the Philadelphia Sixers will only go as far as Joel Embiid will take them, and that's until they decide to go in a different direction with how much he gets the ball. When he had his MVP season, really everything was off of Embiid. Whether if you're really good, it's because Embiid. If you're really bad, it's because Embiid. And now you're looking at the first kind of instance where in this season it's not completely on them. Which honestly, probably you could down the front office a little bit. It should have been something they were doing long before this season. Not putting so much on that guy. Not putting so much on that guy's honestly his knees. I couldn't even say his shoulders, but because it goes back to what you said about the Pistons. Jalen Duren is playing 28 minutes per game. To me, they're saving their center because you're playing with 7 footers, the guys 6 and above. They're gonna be injury prone. So I think 76ers are doing something they should have been doing years ago. But if you look at their team leaders, 30.9 for Tyrese Maxey per game. I know you're loving that with fantasy. Shout out sleeper. Assists per game Maxey, steals per game Maxey 1.8, uh, Bona with 1.5 blocks, and Drummond with 9.2 rebounds per game. They're an interesting team. They're obviously pretending. Um, but I mean, I'm excited to see where they go. I couldn't say that they have a chance to contend, like I said, because we have so many teams that are coming um out of the top two. I mean, it's Pistons and Knicks, but the 76ers are definitely interesting, and I'd say that they're more on the higher end of the pretenders. I'd give them more of an edge than I would give the Raptors, to be honest.
Agreed. Okay, so next is the Heat, which is another one where we had some injuries to start the season. Tyler Hero out right now too. I was looking at the stats for them, and Andrew Wiggins is actually playing the most minutes, which I
Mm,
find interesting. He's been a very valuable defender, a steal and a block a game, and he kind of grew into that defensive role in Golden State. And my favorite things though about the Heat are Norman Powell, kind of he's 32, I think. Yeah, 32 years old this season and putting up the best numbers of his career. A little bit less efficient from three than last season, but still above 40% on more shots, I believe. Yeah, more shots a game. So I think that's great. I love when a player can move to a new team and not fall off of that momentum he had going for him in the last season.
yeah,
Whereas we see guys like John Collins, who I would have considered the best player on the Jazz last season, completely falling off this year on a new team. So I'm really happy to see that. Bam is Bam. I'm always expecting him to have a little bit bigger of a jump in his stats, but he's kind of been stagnant for many years. And like he's very
yeah,
valuable in terms of the things that he does. I expected a little bit more from him. I don't know. And I don't really see them doing anything too crazy. I'm also the other part that I really liked about the Heat is Davion Mitchell. I think has been really nice for them. And I don't know. They're 19 and 15. I really don't see them doing anything too crazy. I think they'll avoid the play-in, which is
yeah.
good. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're pretenders for sure. The East, I don't think has many contenders at all.
Moving on to the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know where they fell so far from great. I really don't. It was like one day I looked and the Cleveland Cavaliers were like a playing team. And that part was so confusing to me because I don't know. I don't know where they went wrong, really, especially from a team that was a top seed last year. They were number 2, correct, or number 1?
Yeah, they're the 1 seed. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't really know what's happening. If it's just like they're just imploding. I don't really know. I don't really know what has happened there. Um,
Mhm.
to put them so far down. But I definitely say they're a pretender. Honestly, they could have been a top 3 seed this season. I
Mhm.
just don't know how much I like a lot of the teams out of the East this year, like we said. Obviously, was hoping more maybe from Lonzo Ball. 5 points off the bench. No, I mean really, yeah. Wait, actually, hold on. 4 assists per game, 4.5 assists per game. They have an interesting roster. I definitely still think that people are still questioning the Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley like duo. Obviously, Evan Mobley's really talented, but I thought when they got DeAndre Hunter last year that it like was gonna elevate them, and I thought it did for the most part. And now this season, it's like you're going in with the same team. I at least expect you to kind of match a similar output as you had last season. But to drop 6 seeds from where you were last year, even if we're only in January, that still seems like I don't know. I'd be terrified. So they're pretender. They're very much so pretenders. Even though they're 7 seed, they're nowhere close to lock.
Next, though, on the list, we got the Orlando
This
Magic.
makes me sick. Even hearing the Magic's name makes me sick.
Yeah. No, I was really excited about them. I mean, Suggs has been good in the minutes that he's played. He's only playing 25 minutes a game as a starter, which isn't great, but he's getting 2 steals in those minutes and he's getting some assists, not a ton of assists, but some assists. Obviously, everyone's upset with Banchero right now, who's been incredibly inefficient, shooting under 25% from three, which is inexcusable. I mean, this is a guy who was getting LeBron comps. If I'm the Magic, I'm honestly looking at moving on from Banchero, which might sound crazy, but
It's
um,
really that concerning, though. It is.
I mean,
It is really that
I mean,
concerning.
I feel like they could throw something together for Giannis. I think it's possible, probable, maybe not. Franz Wagner, yeah, there's another thing. Franz Wagner, I'm high on, and I feel like he could serve that role next to Giannis, like Chris Middleton. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I feel like they have enough capital for Giannis. If they were to get that done, we'll see what happens. But Anthony Black has been playing well though, and I'm happy
Mm.
to see that. And so him and Jalen Suggs have kind of been splitting the minutes. I feel like Desmond Bain has been Desmond Bain. He's not shooting great from three though, which is unfortunate. But he's had some big games as well. They're 19 and 16. That's just above 500. They are a pretender team right now. They're 8th in the East, and I'm not that confident that they will necessarily get a playoff spot.
Yeah, and I think with the Chicago Bulls at 9, it's something very similar to the Cavaliers, but on a very smaller scale. Not so much dropping down from season to season, but just from month to month. Like it
Yeah.
was, they started off and they're so exciting.
Hmm.
I don't know what happened. It has to be something internally. I don't know what happened to make them just have such a big change. It's one of the more like odd things that happened this season.
Mm.
In their last 10, they're 7-3 as well. So at one point they were what 10-14, and at one point they were what 7-0 to
Something ridiculous to say.
yeah. So I mean they had a stretch where it looked like, if I'm not mistaken, there's a stretch where it looked like they almost lost like 10 games in a row or very close to that to get them to 17-17.
Yeah, they started out 5-0,
Okay,
six
5-0.
6-1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses in a row, couple
Yeah,
wins, and then a bunch more losses with a win sprinkled in. So
right.
they have been better lately, I will say.
Yeah, right. In their last 10, they're 7-3. So again, maybe it was something where it was a little bit too much excitement, but it was
Mm.
really on a smaller scale. It's the same thing. The Cavs. It's like you start very hot, immediately drop down. I'd say they have much more. They have a lot to do. They're a lottery team to me, and they can potentially excel to a pretender tag maybe later in the season if they were to get together. But we all know that there is a very set niche of what do you call it? The Chicago, Atlanta, Miami
Oh,
Invitational. And
yeah, yeah.
honestly, right, since the plane has been a thing, Cleveland has been one of those consistent teams in there as well. So really, you're looking at, if the Magic take a couple more games, you look at really Chicago, Atlanta, Miami, and Cleveland. Those are the play-in guys. Um,
Yeah.
so, but Chicago's one of those special teams that get invited to that every year. So to me, they're a lottery team until they can do a little bit more to get back on the pretender.
Yeah. All right, the Hawks, I'm really excited to talk about. Jalen Johnson is a better player than Trey Young right now.
Mm. It's not
He's
ridiculous to say that.
he's giving you a very similar assist production. He's giving you a better scoring production. He's giving a far better rebounding production. And
Yeah.
he's a better defender by a lot, you know. Um, I even would compare him to a LeBron James type. And there aren't very many of those in the NBA.
Yeah.
Just in terms of his passing, his dunking, that stuff. And he's shooting well from three too. 7.2% better than Trey Young, by the way, from three.
Mm.
So if I'm the Hawks, I'm thinking we either fully buy into Jalen Johnson and we move Trae Young, who apparently has been present for most of their losses. And I'm looking at moving Porzingis as well because that's just not working out. I like Okongwu. I think he's a good player. I think
Yeah,
he's shooting better from three. He's shooting better from three on a higher volume than Porzingis. Why do we need Porzingis? And
yeah,
Porzingis is averaging like 6 rebounds. Why do we need Porzingis? They have the guy in Okongwu. So I'm buying into Jalen Johnson. I'm buying into Nikhil Alexander Walker. I'm buying into Okongwu. And I'm moving Trae Young. I'm moving Porzingis. And I'm even potentially looking at Dyson Daniels because the only thing that we're really caring about with Dyson Daniels is he's like a glue guy. He gets his passes, he gets his rebounds, and he plays.
yeah.
He's really inefficient. 12.5% from three. That doesn't even sound real.
That,
Right. So when I look at that and then I compare him to Nikhil Alexander Walker, who's putting up 20 points a game on good efficiency,
yeah,
and who's also a great defender, why do I need Dyson Daniels? So the Hawks are a lottery team with their roster that they have right now. If they can move Trae Young, Porzingis, and Daniels, they are, depending on who they get, pretender to contender. And I think they can
contender
get a
tag.
lot. Here's my other side of it though. If they don't want to move Trae Young, they could get Giannis for Johnson and some other pieces. I mean, they have the New Orleans pick. They have a potential first pick in a huge draft class this year. So they're gonna get a good player regardless if they keep this draft pick. That's
Yeah,
how valuable this draft pick is.
yeah,
So they have that, and they have a bunch of guys who they really don't need. Dyson Daniels and Porzingis, to me, are redundant. They are not needed for this team, and you can get a much better player than Trae Young in return. And pairing
yeah,
another star with Jalen Johnson who can play defense, that is elevating the Hawks to the next level. Like I
yeah.
mean, I would be excited as a Hawks fan right now if that were to happen. Like that would be incredible, especially in the East, which is a lot weaker. Lottery contender potential, which is I think one of the biggest jumps
That is one of the biggest jumps.
of any team's current to their potential once they make some moves.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
on the other side of that coin, the Milwaukee Bucks being at um they are. I know Giannis thinks he's firing them up with the windmill at the buzzer. I don't even know if they could get pretender. Like on some real stuff, I know that Giannis views in his eyes them as a probably a contending team each year with him on the roster. I don't even know if they can get the pretender tag just based off. I think they have lots of good pieces. I think they're like we mentioned the Bucks, them getting Bankero. We mentioned the Hawks with them getting Jalen Johnson. I think the Hawks' best interest is to keep Jalen Johnson and move on from a guy that you have exhausted. Like with Giannis, I think this is a great like way of describing it. Like you exhaust you can everything you can get out of one specific player. With Giannis, you may have already exhausted everything. Like that may be done between Milwaukee and Giannis. You may not have much more left to accomplish besides from maybe empty calories. So it's like maybe you do move on in a different direction, but maybe find something else to try out. Because right now, I think that everything that he's doing is just all for naught. Like it's just there's
Yeah.
not really much to happen. Even if they were to go on like a complete burner from the rest of the season, I don't think that they're outshining a lot of the rest of the teams in the Eastern Conference. They get a lottery tag unless they decide that they would like to move Giannis.
Mhm.
They could potentially drop down to poverty depending on who they get, but they would stay at lottery, regardless of who they get in return. If you get Bankero, as much exciting as that is, maybe you get a little bit younger, you get some pieces to add to it. I still would give them a lottery tag just because Bankero. I mean, Giannis can't pull that team out the mud. So what are you
Yeah.
doing? So I'd say that they are a lottery team that has the potential to move to poverty if they butcher the Giannis,
Yeah.
which has to happen.
Next, we got the Hornets. A lot of great young guys. I like who's that center that they just drafted? Ryan.
Yeah.
Cockbrenner, I'm a big fan of him. I like Con Knuppel. He's obviously been doing very well, especially against Cooper Flag in the Rookie of the Year race. Brandon Miller is kind of getting back into his usual self. He's always dealing with injuries. If I'm them, I'm moving on from Bridges. I'm moving on from Ball. I'm building around the young guys, possibly moving Sexton. He's a bit older too. Him and Bridges are both 27. They can get some stuff back from Minnesota. Send Colin Sexton to us.
Yeah.
And they can do that. But LaMelo Ball is not the guy who's going to bring them anything in terms of winning. He's exciting. He's fun. He's a good passer, but he's a not very efficient guy. And it's not like he's making up for it on the defensive end either. Definitely lottery. They have a lot of good young guys. If they didn't have Knuppel, I would say poverty, but they got hope, you know.
They got hope.
So I'll give them that. So definitely I'll go lottery for them.
The next team on the list with the Brooklyn Nets does not have that same hope, in my opinion. With the exception of absolutely no one. The team is honestly, it is depressing to look at. Cam Thomas, Mike Porter Jr., um, Nick Claxton is just the epitome of mid. Like I've never seen players that I've looked at more often and thought, like, yeah, you're not helping or hurting me. You're just it's
Yeah.
just that's a you talk about poorly constructed teams. I don't even know I don't even know what the Nets. I don't even think they deserve that statement. They are just
Yeah.
that's bad. It's just bad. They are poverty. The fact that they scrunched up 10 wins, honestly, shout out them, but they're poverty, especially with I wish there was more to look at, but when you kind of have like you mentioned earlier, those more like mid 20 guys, that's when you're out of really the development stage and you're probably all that you're gonna get. So there's nothing really to look forward to except for you look at the Hornets, these are like early 20 guys, these are still guys that are you're hoping to develop a little bit more. The Nets have some young guys. They do have some young guys, but they're not anything at the level of the rest of the guy their peers in the
Well,
NBA.
they're not even playing them. I mean, if you look at the top 4 minutes per game receivers,
Mm,
it's a 27-year-old, a 26-year-old. I'll shout out Noah Clowney, who's 21. He's getting 28 minutes a game, so he's the exception. And then Terrence Mann, who's 29.
yeah,
And so it's like, why are we playing all these old guys when we had 5 first-round picks? You
yeah,
know, I
it's
but I will say this about the Nets: I will say this about the Nets. You have floor raisers and players, you have ceiling raisers and players, but as far as teams goes, the Nets are a value raiser. Players go there, they put up some good numbers, and then
yeah,
they go to another team who is like, oh wait, this guy's actually pretty good. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But
yeah.
happened
They get
to
you can get some
Cameron
money.
happened to Cameron Johnson, happened to Mikal Bridges, happened to honestly, I liked James Harden's numbers on the Nets. He was
D'Angelo
averaging
Russell as
like a
well.
near triple. D'Angelo Russell's a great example. Number one value raising team in
Dude,
the NBA.
Jared Dudley got a contract from playing with the Nets. Like the Lakers gave him money, so like
Right,
you,
right.
there is some money to get if you decide to just say like Brooklyn Nets it is.
Yeah,
But I'd say poverty with uh they have poverty. They're a low end poverty team, but if they make some moves, maybe acquire. I don't even know if they should. If more draft capital will help them, I think they just blow it and just not spend it, not either use it wisely or not actually play the guys they get. So
yeah.
they're poverty.
All right, Wizards, our home team.
Oh
They
yeah,
have exciting young pieces. I've been very happy with how Sarr has been playing this year. I think he is the epitome of a modern big. He can score, he can shoot, he can block shots, he can rebound. Can't ask anything more of that. I just hope he stays on track to develop well. I know he was dealing with some injuries.
yeah,
But what's also great about the Wizards is for once in years, I feel like they have a solid young core. I mean, Trey Johnson has been ridiculous from 3. So they got their shooter. And Keyshawn George, I know you love.
yeah. Love Keyshawn George.
And he's been playing well also 15 basically 6 and 5. For once they have a young group who can, you know, give the fan base hope. There's just one thing holding them back. Do you know what that is, Mari?
It's got if it's not the front office, is it the
No,
front office?
it's players. It's players.
It's got to be CJ.
It's actually I almost want to. I was gonna say the two old men, and I was thinking about the Muppet characters.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
They're just there, and they're just ruining everything. Because like,
yeah,
and it's nothing to do with like how good of a player necessarily they are. Because CJ McCollum is putting up 19 points on a more true shooting guard role than he's played in a few years. Like he hasn't really
yeah.
been a true shooting guard since Portland. Him and Chris Middleton are getting far too many minutes for my liking. And Chris Middleton is putting up less than 10 points on 25 minutes.
Nah, the Chris Middleton stat line. That one's more of the worst things I've seen in like a good while.
Why
That
is
one's pretty bad.
why is Chris getting more minutes than Trey Johnson? Why is he getting more minutes than honestly not too many guys here are that great. Undo that. Mostly just Trey Johnson.
Trey Johnson, you could argue given I know it's Marvin Bagley but Corey Crisper, I like Kisper, Cam Whitmore could get more minutes. You still have young guys to
Yeah,
develop.
yeah, yeah.
Even if it's not production outwise, you have minutes that could be a little more valuable to other guys.
Yeah, when we're looking at a team like this, the primary focus should be on developing the young guys. So when you have two 34-year-olds just thrown in there amongst a lot of guys who can't even legally drink yet, like what are we doing? Get them on a contending team so that they can be a sixth man or something, sixth, seventh guy. CJ McCollum can obviously have a bigger role. He can even play point guard on a team that needs a point guard. So send them somewhere where they're actually needed and let the Wizards develop their young guys. I don't understand why this is like, I don't understand what the disconnect. There must be something I'm not seeing, or I don't have the context for why so many teams struggle to find their identity in terms of who they want, where they are in their pursuit of a championship, because that's truly what they're always after. Every
Yeah,
team is pursuing a championship and having a good team for a longer period of time. And I'm not saying tank because
yeah,
in terms of like play poorly, if the cost of playing your young guys is that your team might lose games, that's fine.
yeah.
If you're in that phase, if you're already the 15 seed, are they the 15 seed or are they the 14?
They're 14.
If you're at the very bottom of the conference anyways, what do you have to lose? Like I genuinely can't understand it, because there's
Yeah,
tanking where you don't, like the Utah Jazz are not playing Markkanen as much, and that's tanking in an unethical way. But if you're literally just playing your young guys so that they can find their place in the league, that's like the best possible outcome if you're going to be at the bottom, not playing CJ McCollum 30 minutes a game.
right.
I mean, he's getting more minutes than Jalen Duren.
Yeah,
It's nonsensical to me. So there must be something else that I don't know, or they genuinely have no idea what they're doing.
right.
But obviously they have some idea because they've got a good core. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, and I think well, it's weird because the two teams at the bottom, you have one that is kind of they're both free falling, but one is with the Wizards. Obviously, they have a lot to look forward to. The Pacers, they have a lot to look forward to, but I think it's very hard for them to. Again, you're bottom of the league. You're just in the finals. I think this is crushing for a lot of the players on their team. I think a lot of the players on the team.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Again, I know that they probably can say it all year that well we're missing Tyrese, so it doesn't matter. But it's something demoralizing that's happening to them because they're just free falling at this point. And you have guys who were here once and it was a destination for some people. It was like, oh, like if I get traded to Indy, they're gonna involve me. And for Pascal Siakam, he was the guy who kind of won that sweepstakes. And for a lot of the young guys, they're so happy with where they're at and they still have lots to look forward to. Pascal Siakam still averaging 24, Mathurin 19, Andrew Nemhart 17, Aaron Neesmith 14, Obi Toppin still gets 14. And Obi Toppin was the guy who got moved from the Knicks because he wasn't really developing anything. He gets to Indy, he does develop, and he's still having a decent year without Tyrese Halliburton.
Well,
But
he's only played 3 games, but yeah,
wow,
yeah.
my fault. Yeah, I did not look at
No,
that.
he's still playing well in Indiana
Yeah,
overall.
he's still playing well in Indiana.
I will say personal anecdote. When I started playing basketball, organized basketball, I was in 4th grade, and the
Yeah,
team I played with was just basically my friends, right? Just like my friend's dad was the coach, and he would draft all of us to the team, right?
yeah,
and it was like the B league, so it wasn't even like in for the the county rec league, whatever. So it wasn't even like the best league. But I had fun playing with my friends, and because we were all friends and we weren't actually that terrible, we never lost for like 2 years. We didn't lose a game, and that was how I started playing basketball. And
Yeah.
then in 6th or 7th grade, I finally was like, okay, I'm going to go play in the A League now because I can. I want to, actually play some competition.
Yeah.
And I had my first loss, and I was like, wait, that's what that feels like.
Yeah.
So going from an NBA Finals
Yeah.
to bottom of the worst conference
Yeah.
is nuts. I mean,
It definitely,
you're
I
right.
think
It's
it's
gotta
demoralizing to
hurt
a
the
degree.
players for sure.
Yeah.
But they are looking at a potentially good draft pick this year, and hopefully they can develop some guys. They don't really have anyone too young. Benedict, what the heck? Is that right? Am I tripping?
What?
Oh my gosh. I don't know why I thought Benedict Mathurin was older. He's my age, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's still
What
fairly
the
young.
heck?
Yes, I mean they have.
He's one of the younger guys actually getting minutes. And then like Ben Shepherd, Jarris Walker, but everyone else is kind of mid to late 20s. So
Yeah,
they really need to throw some young guys in there, get someone with Tyrese Halliburton. They
and you get
obviously need to look for another big after the departure of Miles Turner.
and you just hope, like I said, you just hope that they can keep it together long enough to like
Yeah,
for Tyrese's return. Obviously, they're not going to keep it together record wise, but the front office has got to do a better job at inspiring some type of hope. Because if not, you're going to have Tyrese Halliburton return to much of nothing. Because it's very hard to get those guys to buy in to lose. Even if you say that like we're going to get a better player, that's just someone taking their job. So
right.
it's very hard to get those guys to buy into that. As far as tags go, they are a poverty team. They're
For
they're
sure.
not going to get Tyrese Halliburton back this year, especially not in enough time.
Mhm.
6-29 is arguably unexcusable without your best guy. The Clippers didn't fall that far down. Their second best guy is Harden, but still, it's still
Yeah.
fairly
I
bad.
mean, also, I think this record is kind of a big credit to, or not credit to, but kind of shines a light on Tyrese Halliburton in terms of
Yeah,
how good he is and how, and not just how good he is, but how much value he adds to his team.
I got
You
a
know,
great comparison here too. Honestly, same thing we're talking about with Tatum. Same thing we're talking about with Tyrese Halliburton.
uh,
The guy
yeah,
behind you could not step up and do your job, and it makes you almost irreplaceable. But with
right.
Jaylen Brown, it's like or Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown steps in and could kind of hold down the fort. Yeah, that's a testament to the front office. And in Indiana, you could almost say that's a knock on the front office. But man, you lose your top guy, and I mean you fall down that far.
Yeah.
He's getting paid without even playing. He's getting paid, man.
Yeah. And Andrew Nemhard, who's been playing point guard this season, hasn't been bad at all.
Yeah,
He's been one of their top players, but it's not, and obviously not all about the stats. The stats do not tell the full story, but the impact that Tyrese Halliburton has on the pace of the game and the way that he's able to just elevate the entire team. I mean, it's the epitome of a point guard.
yeah,
So excited to see him come back next year for sure. And
yeah.
cool. So that's all 30.
All 30 teams ranked. All of the 4 categories: contenders, pretenders, lottery, and poverty. Please let us know what you guys think in the comment section. If there's anybody that you felt like we completely missed the mark on, I think we fairly well when it comes to ball. So I think we probably did a fantastic job.
A little bit, hopefully.
A little bit, hopefully. Hopefully, we're not doing
Hopefully.
this for nothing.
Yeah, no, if you guys hate us, if you guys don't like anything we're saying, let it be heard. Let
Yeah,
us
let it be
know.
known in the comments.
Yeah.
At least dislike the video,
I'm
and
just
then one way or another.
yeah, exactly.
But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you who takes the time out to view our content. Hope we're gonna try our best to make sure we have weekly uploads for you guys and gals, and make sure that we're getting the most and the best content possible that we can put out.